Most of the people are going to look at me and say, James, why would you guard somebody from 30 feet if they're not Steph Curry? Let him shoot it. You're wrong. Because if you watch Damian Lillard through this series, Damian Lillard is living beyond 30 feet from the three-point line. He makes one, cool. He makes two, I might have to put a hand in his face. He starts making more than two, and you legitimately have to pick up from half court.
Logo Lillard, baby.
That's part of the IQ we're talking about. Russ, what are you doing, my man?
Welcome to Straight Facts, a sports show that educates and entertains. I'm Jules Schmitz, accompanied by James Jackson and Jake Galley. Guys, how you doing today?
I'm all right, man. I'm hyped. I'm excited.
Good to hear. Here's a fact straight at you. Since 1996, only 3 teams have won the finals after losing Game 1 of their opening series. The Spurs in 03, 05, and 07 are all 3 teams.
Right. I guess that means if you're the Sixers, Nuggets, or Raptors, that you're not going to win your opening series or go on to the finals, which all of those 3 teams have aspirations for. But we'll start with the hometown Sixers, which at the end of Game 1, Jake, say it with me. At the end of Game 1, they were looking shaky, baby.
Shaky.
But Game 1 they were, but they bounced back beautifully and won Game 2 on their home court. It was huge. They're one on one on the road in the same scenarios they faced last year with the Heat, and you know that they won the first round.
I'm going to ask you boys something really quick.
Go ahead.
What would be one word to describe Game 1? If you had to describe Game 1 in one word, what would it be?
Embarrassing. I mean, that was kind of the Sixers' chance to come out and say, all right, look, we're the new force in the East. There's no LeBron for the first time since like Joel Embiid was born. I mean, it's been forever since LeBron has not been at the top of the East, and they come out and they fall flat on their face. The things that have plagued them all season continue to plague them. D'Angelo Russell, Dinwiddie just absolutely demolished their guards. And, I mean, in the second game, luckily they turned it around, but opening up, oh, man.
James, what about you?
I guess I would go 2 words and, not shocking, because the way the Sixers lost was the way the Sixers lose to many teams, especially the Nets, and that was defensive guard play. Absolutely killed the Sixers. Russell and Dinwiddie averaged a combined 43 points a game against the Sixers. Against every other team, they're down to 37 points per game. The Sixers really cannot figure out how to guard elite guards on the other team. And me and you have talked about this before, Jake. It's almost like it is what it is at this point, right? It's almost can't be fixed. They're going to find T.J. McConnell, laugh. They're going to find J.J. Redick, laugh, on defense and exploit that matchup.
Well, it's funny you mentioned T.J. Brett Brown finally did what a lot of Sixers fans have been calling for and pulled T.J. from the lineup, pulled Jonathan Simmons from the lineup in Game 2.
Right,
James Ennis got some major run. And it worked. I mean, they were much better in Game 2, partially because it's hard to, you're at home. You have to pick up one. And I don't think the Sixers were about to drop both of those. They come out. Brett Brown apparently gave a very rousing speech during halftime, cursing, which Brett Brown doesn't do often.
That gets some people hyped.
And a Boston accent, too. It was probably funny.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler loved it, but there had to be something done. It's good to see that Brett Brown had Ben Simmons more engaged in that second game. He had Joel Embiid reined in. Embiid didn't take a 3. They let Embiid shoot in that first game, and he was clanking them, and comes out and absolutely dominates in the time that he was out there, which is still, we'll talk about that. It's not enough.
It's got to ratchet up.
So my word would be disheveled.
Well, that's a good word.
On and off the court.
It's an SAT word.
It's an SAT word. I can't say I did too well in my SAT, but here I am.
Go ahead.
Nonetheless, both on and off the court, I think we all know has been going on in Philadelphia between the drama on and off the court. It seems to be that Brett Brown doesn't quite have a grasp on this team at the respectful level.
I would agree with that, especially the new look Sixers team. The Sixers acquired a wealth of talent very quickly, and then after they did that talent only played together for, 13 games?
They need time to adapt.
Something like that?
I completely agree.
So what would make you think that, are you referring to the article that came out from, I think it's Chris Sheridan, which details Brett Brown having zero control of the team, Ben Simmons taking games off because he felt like it? To me, that's coming out at this point in the season against a New York team from a New York reporter.
Yeah, I don't know how much truth there is.
Stuff like that would have been, I don't know. Right now, at least, I don't think the Sixers can worry about it.
It's hard for me to believe there's not some truth to it, but the timing of it is suspicious.
It is.
So that is what I'm going to say.
If those problems were happening, they were happening all year.
Sure.
And that would have, someone would have told us about that midway through the season, not held it in their back pocket and used it now towards ammunition.
They're using it as ammunition. Took the words right out of my mouth.
But I do think, to Jules' point, that Brett Brown, and to your point too, Jake, that Brett Brown has reined in this team a little bit, because not only are they looking better, but they're being more efficient. Joel Embiid not taking threes, and Ben Simmons came out in Game 2. Like, that was the difference to me between Game 1 and Game 2, is how Ben Simmons and Embiid came out and their shot selection. Not just being aggressive, but their shot selection. I mean, in Game 1, they combined 9 for 24 from the field, abysmal. And in Game 2, 16 for 23. A much better shooting percentage, but, it still worries me that combined they only took 23 shots.
And shooting, just real quick, it was one of their main issues. They had a historically bad performance in Game 1, only hitting 3 of 25 from three-point land. I don't care who you play. You can play a non-playoff team. If you're shooting 3 of 25, you're not going to win a lot of games. I don't put the Game 1 squarely on Brett Brown.
12% from the outside?
What it is. It's really bad. Look, I'm a journalism major. I can't do that quick math.
Okay, but here's the thing. It's 9 for 23 in Game 2, much better.
It's somewhat of an improvement.
It's somewhat. It's I guess statistically an improvement, but it's not leaps and bounds better.
They should be shooting at a higher clip.
It's not. And who does that point to? It doesn't only point to J.J. Redick. Like, Tobias Harris, someone's got to go shake Tobias Harris, wake him up, let him know that, like, we need you in the series, especially if you're getting 24 minutes and then 21 minutes out of Embiid, which is a whole other issue, by the way, that your best player is playing less than 30 minutes in the playoffs, less than 25 minutes in the playoffs. But someone's got to go shake Toby over there in the corner and say, hey, bro, that 49% you were shooting in the regular season, we might need that right about now.
So, guys, all this talk around Embiid, it's got me a little worried. Are the Sixers relying too much on Joel Embiid? I understand he's the monumental subject of the team, and I get that, but is that a good or a bad thing, do you think? Because, I mean, the man's fragile. He gets hurt.
Right now, I mean,
the man is fragile.
He's fragile.
Well, he's always been fragile, and what it sounds like is that's not going to change, right? Knee tendonitis is what is bouncing around what he has, or knee tendonitis, and that's not something that goes away. There's really nothing you can do about that. However, they're left with no other choice. Joel Embiid is probably the best two-way player in the NBA, certainly the best two-way big in the NBA. When he's on the floor, they are a much better team than when he is off it.
True, they are a much better team, but when he's off the floor, they space. I think they space much better when he's off the floor. Because, one, Ben Simmons can't play on the perimeter. So when he's off the floor and Ben Simmons is on the floor, it allows Ben Simmons to actually be in the lane and peruse the lane. When they're both on the floor and Ben Simmons has to go in the lane, because, let's face it, he's useless beyond 10 feet. You're shaking your head or nodding your head, Jake, because you know that's true. He's pretty much useless beyond 10 feet from the basket. So when he goes into the lane, it kind of like pushes Joel Embiid out towards the perimeter, which is why he's there so much for three-point opportunities. He also gets really tired in the third quarter. Like, Embiid loses gas towards the end of the third quarter going into the fourth.
And that's exacerbated by the fact that he's missed so many games because of this injury. He loses his conditioning and then will go out there and look sluggish. I'm not disagreeing about that. Embiid's second in the NBA in usage rate as well. But what I look at in terms of the shooting, you mentioned Tobias Harris, it all kind of feeds back to Ben Simmons of what he can and can't do. When Ben Simmons is playing well, how about this stat? When he has a triple-double, the Sixers are 18-6. And that has a lot to do with him creating for other people rather than when teams are D'ing him up. It really is reliant on his teammates trying to get him good looks because he has so many limits.
And when he comes out hot, when he comes out aggressive, he can establish that a lot easier because he can get his scoring rhythm. It's harder for Ben Simmons to establish a scoring rhythm than it is for him to establish a facilitating rhythm or a rebounding rhythm. So if he can get that cemented early and say, I've got my rhythm, I'm going to the basket, that allows him to really hone in on other areas of this game, because if he doesn't establish that scoring rhythm at the very beginning of the game, it gets lost.
Another team who struggled were the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors 1-9 in Game 1s in the Kyle Lowry era.
Kyle Lowry in the playoffs. Shaky, baby.
That poor guy. I mean, look, Nova guy, local guy.
Love the Cats, but
I hate doing this to him, but you might as well sit him in Game 1s. I mean, he has been abysmal year after year.
And the Raptors suffer from it. The Raptors are 1-9 in the Kyle Lowry era in Game 1s. And most of that, if not all of that, have come when they're a 1, 2, or 3 seed, which means they're playing significantly worse teams than them. And they got it done one time.
What did he finish with 22 points last night, was it?
And Game 2 was better. He ended up going like 22-7. I don't have the exact exact stats. Here they are, right here. He ended up having 22.7 rebounds, or 4 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals, a block. A great performance. But when you look back to game 1 in what was the shocker where the Magic were able to take that one 104 to 101 over the Raptors.
It's ugly.
I don't think anyone expected that. And Kyle Lowry, completely absent from that first game, 0 for 7. He did add 8 assists and 7 rebounds, but in large part was not there when they needed him.
And this there's a bigger umbrella to the Raptors postseason, right? Because not only are they playing for a championship, they're like auditioning for Kawhi. They're showing Kawhi why he should stay.
Right.
And what it's gonna take for me for Kawhi to stay is nothing less than an NBA Finals run.
He's running on 37 points less. He's such a versatile player. He's all over the court. Mm-hmm. He's all over the court. No exaggeration, he's the best two-way player in the NBA. And has pretty much been that since he came in and guarded LeBron in the 2014 finals. Like, he's really been established himself as that.
Yeah, 15 of 22 in game 2, as you guys were mentioning, 37 points. Kawhi is a very polarizing figure to me because it kind of comes down to who do you think he is. Mm-hmm. Is he the demure, quiet, respectful guy he was for the first half or all but a year of his career, or is he the guy who forced his way out of a good situation in San Antonio to try and force his way to L.A.? To me, I think he's destined for L.A. I think it's going to come down one day. He's going to wake up and say, "I want palm trees. I want sunny skies."
It's funny because when Popovich drafted him, when he got to the Spurs, everyone was like, "This is like a perfect match, right?" It's an even-keeled guy with Popovich who's able to be coached, who plays fundamentally. Like, everyone thought that was a match made in heaven. And then all of a sudden, Kawhi woke up and was cranky, and all of a sudden wanted out of San Antonio, and no one really knew why. He kind of like played it off as a knee injury, a lingering knee injury. I'm going to my own doctors, and they're saying I'm not healthy enough to play. But you could really see that it was personal, right? That he like just didn't want to play in San Antonio anymore. And I guess now, to Kawhi's point, like, the Clippers look fun. Like, not only are the Raptors auditioning for Kawhi, but other teams are kind of like saying, like, if we could create a good climate, a good atmosphere for Kawhi here, like, Kawhi's going to want to come here, especially if it's not LA.
To stay, essentially.
And if Clippers right now might be the match made in heaven for Kawhi Leonard, because he can go to LA and not be overshadowed by LeBron at the same time, have his own team with a good championship coach in Doc Rivers, with great role players around him, like Landry Shamet, like Pat Beverly, and still get it done. And probably you insert Kawhi on this Clippers team, and you're looking at like a 3 or 4 seed in the West.
And you could argue that the Raptors don't even have anything to worry about because they have arguably the most improved player in the NBA in Pascal Siakam, who a lot of people refer to as Kawhi Light. I don't know if I'd go that far, but look, this guy can play basketball.
Spicy
P, that's my guy. 27th pick in the 2016 NBA draft. If you look at his numbers year to year, compared to last year, he's averaging 10 more points per game. He's improved his three-point percentage by 15%, which has been huge, and he's also shooting about 5% better overall. He's playing 12 more minutes. This is a guy who has completely changed his role on this team.
Changed his role, and he completely changed the Raptors team, and they like stumbled upon this. Like, no one was expecting Pascal Siakam, Spicy P, which, by the way, is first team all nickname in the NBA, because Spicy P is a great nickname. But they weren't expecting him to be this guy that they can use in so many different ways. Like, he's that long 6'8", 6'9" player who has the length and size that can play down low, but has the guard handle and the shot ability.
That's what it is.
To play on the perimeter.
Really, his ability.
He's a matchup nightmare. He's a matchup nightmare.
And dribbling and his handle for how big and long he is. They just kind of give him the ball and are like, all right, we're going to run you in some pick and rolls. You attack the basket with your freakish body.
Because he's not in a hurry. Like, he wants to get his, but his game is not in a hurry. It's almost like Mopey-ish. Like, I'm going to get to my spot. I'm going to get there on my terms, though. You're not going to speed me up. You're not going to rush me. And it works so well for the Raptors offense, especially mirroring with Kawhi, who's also that kind of player. Not in a hurry. It slows their offense down.
Shout out to Basketball Without Borders as well, bringing him in from Cameroon. That's the same program that brought in Joel Embiid, who we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. Like Richard Mbah-a-Moute doing a lot of great things over in Cameroon and Africa.
Shout out Luke Mbah-a-Moute, former Rocket.
Speaking of doing great things, James, your former team, the Los Angeles Clippers, put up one of the biggest comebacks in the history of the NBA. Ironically, 31-point comeback, 3-1. Those two numbers just haunt the Warriors.
I love
every
second of it. I love every second of it. The The Warriors blowing that lead is very significant. What I think is even more significant, and we have to look for, is what that injury to DeMarcus Cousins is going to do to that team. Like, it really seemed like the Warriors had a 31-point lead, had a huge lead. DeMarcus Cousins goes out, and you watch that lead start to evaporate.
Right.
And we never thought DeMarcus Cousins was going to be such a pivotal and central focus to that Warriors team.
He's such essential to the team. Yeah.
But we didn't know. But people didn't think that. You had your 4 snipers, you had your 4 all-stars on that Warriors team. Cousins was coming back off an Achilles injury, which people didn't even think he might not play this year.
Right.
And he came back and immediately was a focal point of that team. Everyone was very scared of them going into the playoffs because now there's truly no weak spot in their starting lineup. And then he goes out, and the Warriors changed.
He came back in January, right?
Yeah.
And that's not too long off at all.
It's the same leg, too, which is also gives me a lot of worry. I mean, I feel bad for him, but you're right. It was a big blow to them when you look at down the stretch. While the Clippers were coming back from this 31-point lead, it wasn't like they were shooting the lights out. They had 5 3-pointers in that comeback.
Yeah.
However, they went 14 of 15 on layups during that stretch. So that shows you right there. They're getting to the rim at will. Lou Williams poses a lot of problems for them off the bench. And Shamet and Gilgeous-Alexander have played phenomenally as rookies, which no one expected them to.
And you know why the Clippers give the Warriors such a matchup? Is because they have so many guards that can score. So what the Warriors love to do is hide Steph Curry on defense so he doesn't have to exert that much energy, and he has all the energy for the offensive end. You'll see Klay Thompson guard the point guard. You'll see Shaun Livingston come in and guard the point guard. You'll see Kevin Durant even sometimes guard the point guard before you see Steph Curry, because they don't want him expending all that energy on the defensive end. There's nowhere to hide him against the Clippers.
So here's the stat. Warriors are 4.1 points better when Cousins is off the court than on the court.
That's a surprising stat.
Well,
Right?
that has to do with pace. I think they can run and move a lot quicker. They do have a better offensive rating, and we talked about this a little bit in the past. They have a better offensive rating when he is off the court, and I just think that comes down to they can run faster, they can kick out and shoot a lot more threes when you don't have a big fella who you have to wait for coming down the court.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting to see. Now, I don't think the Clippers are going to beat them in this series, but I do believe that teams down the road, like Clint Capella, who do you have to guard him now in the second round? Who do you have to kind of slow him down? And it starts to create holes in this star-studded Warrior team that I don't think a lot of people thought were there before.
And also, the Warriors have stated what they want their big men to be able to do 3 things: rebound, defend, and pass the ball out of the post. Now when you take Boogie, like Boogie is one of the best big men passers in the league. He sees the floor very well. And I think the Warriors got used to that a little bit, having them since January, especially making this playoff run, as they were able to move all these different lineups around, but having Boogie in the middle allowed them to have that passing out of the post and that actual presence in the post that you have to actually be mindful of and actually take care of and guard. You know what I mean? Before the Warriors just stuck, I don't know, like Andre the Giant in the post, stuck some random no-name ball in the post, and let him operate, and people didn't really have to focus on him because what's he going to do? Just clean up garbage. Now you put Boogie in the post, like crap, now we actually got to guard somebody in there, and then when you put your focus for a split second on the 5, 1, 2, 3, and 4 go crazy.
And this is something that I certainly didn't foresee coming, but speaking of big men, Enes Kanter for the Blazers, I thought he was going to get picked apart in the playoffs. I was completely wrong. 20 and 18 in his first game, and then in the second game helping his team, but it was really the Dame show in that second game. Blazers are now up 2-0 on OKC. Both of these teams coming off of first-round exits last year. Not going to look great on Russ's resume if he gets bounced in the first round.
Well, word to CJ McCollum and Dame, because remember last year that woman on Twitter, Jennifer, told them to win a playoff game. They got Jennifer out of here. That might have been one of the biggest motivations for them.
I like CJ McCollum. He's a good guy. Yeah, he deserved that.
Philly guy, went to Lehigh, knocked Duke out of the tournament, and he's doing his thing now. I will say this: both of these teams are very home-centered teams. The Blazers are a very home-centered team and have traditionally been that way since the Dame Lillard era. They really struggle on the road, and like when it goes back to OKC, you're going to see a different Russell Westbrook. Like Russell Westbrook is a high-emotion, high-energy player, and he feeds off energy from the crowd. If the crowd's against him, you're going to see a lot of bad plays from Russ. You're going to see him taking plays off. You're not going to see his head in it all 100%. When it goes back to OKC, I would not be surprised if Russ drops like a 30-point triple-double next game and they win Game 3. Like I think that's what's about to happen.
Well, see here for me, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, just you and I. Russell Westbrook, when it comes down to it,
tell him what it is.
Well, we have a saying that's called not my. NMPG, not my point guard. NMPG. If I was starting a team, you could not give me Russell Westbrook for free. He's a great player, but when it comes down to it, his shot IQ is negative. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing in the fourth quarter of these games.
Yeah,
he puts up great stats. He's a very good player in the regular season in the first 3 quarters, but when you have to make analytical, smart plays, he's just not the guy, or he hasn't been the guy, and I don't see him gaining that skill anytime soon.
And let's put it this way, to aid in Jake's point, Russ in Game 1 and Game 2, minus 27 on the floor. Paul George, PG, is minus 11. Now, they play damn near about the same minutes, right? Russ played 40, PG played 39. But Russ is minus 16 worse than PG. One, because he was guarding Dame Lillard, and PG wasn't. PG was guarding, like, Al-Farouq Aminu and those players. But 2, it's because of the bad decisions Russell Westbrook's made. You have to look past Russell Westbrook's stats. I know we're a stats show, and we're going to hang our head on stats, but with Russell Westbrook, everybody, look past the stats that we give you. You got to watch his game in context, because Jake is right. Like, guaranteed down the stretch in a close game under 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, you're going to get one of these options from Russell Westbrook. A bad shot, a mistake on defense, or just a simple boneheaded play, ball kicks off his foot, he throws it out of bounds, doing something like that, because his basketball IQ just isn't high. Well, it's one of the reasons Kevin Durant
left. Last game, I think, was one of the worst in his entire career. It was terrible. It was awful. I think he had 14 points. That was...
and here's the thing, like, he's awful. Like, you watch, there's this one play sequence where he takes up three-pointer, contested three-pointer on Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard claps and, like, celebrates his miss, grabs the ball, and walks Russell Westbrook down to about 30 feet, and then cashes one in his eye. Now, most of the people are going to look at me and say, James, why would you guard somebody from 30 feet if they're not Steph Curry? Let him shoot it. You're wrong. Because if you watch Damian Lillard through this series, Damian Lillard is living beyond 30 feet from the three-point line. He makes one, cool. He makes two, I might have to put a hand in his face. He starts making more than 2, and you legitimately have to pick up from half court.
Oh, go Lillard, baby.
That's part of the IQ we're talking about. Russ, what are you doing, my man? Like, you've seen him, and you could see when a player is setting up to walk into a 3. You could watch it. You could see it. You got to go put a hand in his face.
What's most disappointing to me, and I'm not a huge Russell Westbrook guy, but I think it would be interesting for the NBA if OKC was a perennially good team going deep in the playoffs. This year, you're not going to have to defeat either the Warriors or the Rockets to get into the conference finals.
Yeah, ain't that...
They're going to knock out each other. One of them is going to prevail. You now have a chance on that side of the bracket to get to the Western Conference Finals without having to play one of those 2 teams. This is the year. You have Paul George, who was almost the MVP if he hadn't fallen off and gotten that shoulder injury. You need to take charge, and he just has not done that thus far. I guess we'll see if he does it in the coming games, but this is the year.
But is it smart for him to take charge? When he tried to take charge with Durant, he fumbled the bag. Like, we don't want him to take charge. It's almost like they've had to rein Russell Westbrook in this year, and when they reined him in, they were the number 1, number 2 seed in the West for a little bit. And then what happened? PG went down, and Russ had to take charge. They slid to the 8 seed. Damn near didn't make the playoffs for a little bit. And then climbed back up to the 6 once they beat the Rockets.
I feel like Westbrook, though, is almost a necessity for the team because he creates shots for others, you know, in the sense of, like, he's opening space for people to shoot. And, like, that team, I feel like, I don't know. There's something missing without him.
It is a double-edged sword because, like, you're worse without him, but, like, can you really get better with him?
What's the lesser of 2 evils, essentially?
That's what it is. And I guess the lesser of 2 evils is getting beat in the first round of the playoffs as opposed to not making the playoffs, right?
Well, there's a stat that they always run out there where it's like Westbrook when he shoots less than 19 times and they're a really great record, and then it'll be when he shoots greater than 20 times and they have a terrible record. To me, it's as simple as he is athletic enough to get wherever he wants to on the court. As a coach and as a player, especially as a point guard, you need to now break it down scientifically, possession in and possession out, and this is part of being a great player, to where you can now be the leader of that chess match. Mm-hmm. Right now, Westbrook is just kind of a pawn in the chess match. He goes off and then sometimes will make a bad move and it costs you. If he can start taking hold of and reeling himself back almost, he becomes a totally different player. They become a totally different team.
He might not even be a pawn. Like, if he's a pawn, he's the first pawn.
No, he's whatever. He's the queen. Whatever you want to make him, right?
No, he's the first pawn in the chess game. He's the pawn you lay out there knowing that this man isn't going to make it anywhere. He's going to get knocked out in the first move. That's Russell Westbrook right now. And it's funny because, like, they might have a little coaching hotspot over there in OKC. Like, is Billy Donovan on the hot seat if he doesn't get this done?
I would have to think so. I mean, like you said, can you get much better with, you have 2 top-level all-stars.
All NBA-type players.
what do you do? Brett Brown's in the same position. If you cannot get past the first 2 rounds, we got to find someone who maybe can.
The man's Brett Brown. He is on thin ice right now, and he has been on thin ice for a very long time. I think we can all agree with that.
Which is fair. It is what it is.
But he knows that. He knows that, too. I think it's like one of those spoken, unspoken things. You hear it on sports talk every single day, all day. The man's not blind to the fact that he's on ice, which is why I think he's kind of biting his bottom lip, attempting to lay down the law while he can, while he's in the playoffs. And, I mean, just for the fact that I think the team's more, as we could see the last game, game 2, with them being more structured, I think he kind of cracked the whip a little bit.
He had to. He had to.
He didn't have a choice.
Butler liked it. That really gave Butler some
fire under his ass now.
That post game, he was like, Brett Kirsten.
It's funny the little, right, Jimmy Butler's problematic ass loved that. Loved the chaos. And it's funny the little relationship that's developing.
Can I tell you something? I've been waiting for Jimmy Butler to be Jimmy Butler all season, and finally he's here. Playoff Jimmy Butler's here.
No, here's the thing. Jimmy Butler was Jimmy Butler the whole season until he got to the Sixers. And when he got to the Sixers, he kind of like...
frustrated.
Yeah, he was frustrated. And he kind of like, fell back a little bit. This is a new team. This isn't my team. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. And then he said, at one point, he said, to the hell with that.
By the way, just to circle back before we move on, OKC was 20-20 when Russ shot more than 20 field goals in a game, and were 24-9 when he shot less. That is all you gotta know.
In the words of Draymond Green, you not Kobe, bro. They don't love you like that. Oh, Kobe's the only one who could take volume shots. Maybe James Harden now take shots away from his teammates and win. Russ got to share the ball, especially because Russ don't have a jump shot like that. Mm-hmm. It's different if Russ is taking 20-plus jump shots and has a good outside shot. Russ does not have a reliable outside perimeter jump shot, which is why when he takes these many field goals, they don't win. And when he takes less, it's because other people are getting inside the lane and doing it. They got to utilize Steven Adams more. Steven Adams is a force down low, one of the most unmovable players in the NBA. Ask Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard hit a brick wall at half court taking a screen from Steven Adams. And I think they got to utilize him more down low, especially since the Blazers don't have Yusuf Nurkic. Like, the Blazers cannot dominate the Thunder down low without Nurkic. I'm sorry, Enes Kanter can't outwork Steven Adams. It just can't happen anymore.
That was the concept. And in that second game, Kanter only did have 6 points, 5 rebounds. I think OKC finally was akin to, okay, maybe this guy can't guard pick and roll, which was always the book out on Kanter. You're right. Losing Nurkic, I was kind of hopeful coming in that Portland would be able to challenge for that Western Conference spot. Without Nurkic, I don't think they can do it.
I don't think they can do it. They're susceptible to getting beat by the Jazz, even if the Jazz aren't going to beat the Rockets. But a team like the Jazz, that caliber, without Yusuf Nurkic, it just leaves a big hole. So, yeah, that's just going to wrap up NBA playoffs.
All right, guys. Let's speak some facts here. Karis LeVert. We didn't really like that. We thought that was kind of disrespectful, especially after the elbow he threw.
Let's put this into some context. This is about Joel Embiid's apology about the elbow that he threw on Jared Allen, which at the time was a flagrant 1, and I don't think it should have been upgraded to a flagrant 2. I think flagrant 1 was right. But he offered this like haphazard apology at the podium and then laughed it off and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it." And then him and Ben Simmons laughed. And the laugh is what made it disrespectful. If you don't mean the apology,
it's immature.
Then don't apologize.
It's immature. You're not going to get any further than the second round if you're being immature like that.
No one made you.
Blood.
Like no one made you apologize to him. So if you don't want to apologize, don't. It's playoff basketball.
It looks flaky. Right?
Whatever, but don't give a half-hearted apology.
Can you give me an example of a time that Joel Embiid was extremely respectful to anyone?
Never. That's what I'm saying. Don't start now.
But that's his persona. Yeah, exactly. If you're going to be confident about it, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
You're authentic.
You guys are right. It is very immature, but these guys are kind of immature in their NBA. Yeah. They're young. They're both very young.
They're our age.
I mean, and they're coming into their own. They are both arrogant, just as is. You come in, you're already one of the best players in the league when you come in. And in terms of LeVert's comment, of course you don't like it. This is a playoff series, dude. I know that you guys don't make these things all the time, but it gets pretty nasty in the playoffs. LeBron is no stranger to kind of some gamesmanship when it comes to press conferences and making comments. That was flying back and forth when he was playing the Warriors. In fact, Klay Thompson may have won the Cavs the finals by saying that they got their feelings hurt.
We'll never forget that. But I do agree with Jewel, real quick, that I don't think they go far until they mature and grow up a little bit. Look, you got embarrassed on your home floor in Game 1. Yeah. Cool, you won Game 2. But this series is still tied going to Brooklyn for 2 games. You don't have home court advantage back yet. You have to steal one in Brooklyn to get home court advantage back yet. And if you don't steal one, you come back to Philly down 3-1. The job is far from over. Like, so far from over that I shouldn't see a smile on your face right now.
Fair.
There ain't nothing to laugh about.
Yeah, like, stay focused. Like, come on. All right, guys, Charles Barkley said, this is the most important playoffs in Toronto's Raptors history. This could be a franchise-changing playoffs for them.
I don't agree with much that Chuck Barkley's goofy behind says on TV, but I agree with this one wholeheartedly.
I'm laughing.
You know, no, he's goofy. He's goofy. Let me tell you something, Kenny. Look, he's goofy, but he was spot on with this one because this, for the Raptors, sets up the Raptors' future. It sets up a future that can go to dismay if you lose Kawhi because you don't really have much of a backup, or it can set you up for a lot of success down the road. If you make a deep playoff run and tell Kawhi, hey, you're better off here than anywhere else, it sets you up good for down the road.
And this is why they made it defining for themselves. If you keep DeMar DeRozan and continue to build, then you don't have this problem. But the problem being is that you have to impress Kawhi Leonard. He's a huge part of your franchise now, and you committed to trying to court him over this next season to convince him to stay long-term. No one stays in Toronto long-term, or very few people have, which is why I think there was an outcry and so many people felt bad for DeMar DeRozan. He was one of the only guys who stuck with it and was like, Toronto's my home, I'm going to grow here. And they traded him. So I don't really, I guess he is correct. This probably would be franchise changing if they lose and don't make the finals and Kawhi leaves, but they brought that upon themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right, guys, Magic Johnson says, I'm a free bird and was caged up. That was why I resigned. Now I'm free again.
Magic Johnson is not speaking facts. That's not why he resigned. Okay, it's not. First of all, the way he did it was trifling. Okay, I got a lot of respect. I got a lot of respect for Magic Johnson, one of the best NBA players of all time. Run-of-the-mill GM, wasn't that, or president of basketball operations, wherever you want to dress it up. He wasn't that good. LeBron was coming to LA with or without Magic.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
LeBron came to LA for LeBron. LeBron didn't go to LA for anybody else. That wasn't Magic's doing, okay? But the way
Magic closed the deals, what I'll tell you.
Maybe.
But when they always sat down with dinner. That's what I think LeBron or Clutch Sports, I forget who kind of talked about it, but alluded to Magic was a big part in him going there.
Like, okay, LeBron picked the Lakers over the Clippers, but I mean, LeBron picked the Lakers because the Lakers are Showtime. That's Hollywood. The Clippers. No one associates the Clippers with Hollywood and LA. See what I mean?
I was talking about over the Sixers.
Or anybody. But that's why LeBron chose LA. But going back to the Magic point, like, he's speaking facts in the terms of Magic had to temper Magic's personality a little bit. Magic wanted to be almost like the big brother, like older uncle type in the NBA that can give players free advice where they want to, kind of like talk to them whenever
like
he wants to.
What AG is doing. What Kevin Garnett is doing with Area 21.
Kobe, like he wants to be able to do all that, and he wasn't able to. But Magic, you have to know that going in.
Well,
like you have to, when you're associated with a franchise, you have to know that you can't advocate.
Look
for
at it from this
players.
lens, however, is that Jeannie Buss, who the Buss family, he says multiple times, pretty much anytime he got to talk about him, is how much of it's a family. We love them. Obviously, he spent his career there. I think Jeannie kind of foisted this role upon him, where really all he wanted to be was like an ambassador. Someone who will go around, talk to the free agent, and say, hey, it's great in Los Angeles. You could do X, Y, Z. Exactly what he said to LeBron James, making LeBron realize, you know what, this decision could be more than basketball. It could be to set up my future. He's a great person to talk about that with. And trying to have him sit in and be this professional, something that he's not, I think was a little unfair to Magic. However, the way that Magic handled it and resulting in this quote, calling himself a free bird.
And then he called an impromptu press conference, tweeted and told the media and Twitter before he told the owner of the team, before he told his boss, the Twitterverse knew and the media knew.
We knew it was going to be exciting in LA when LeBron went there, but it was exciting for all the wrong reasons, and I feel like this is just the perfect cap on it in the last game of the year for him to go
and you know what's funny, and an overlooked part of this is when they were going to go fire Luke Walton, I think they told Magic, you have to do it.
And
he was like,
or he said, it's not my, I don't want that to be my decision.
I don't want that to be my decision. So I think they said, well, that is your decision. And he said, well, then fine, I quit. Like, I think Magic really was, like, I don't want to call him like a baby or call him like, immature
being
for them.
passive-aggressive is what he was being.
Really was. Magic was there, and he said it. I'm not having fun anymore. Magic was there and all right and ready for the job when it was fun. But the not fun parts of the job, the losing, the firing people, they have to answer to the media.
I'll be there for both of them. I don't think the job.
He wasn't prepared for it, and he doesn't want to be part of it anymore. And I'm sorry, Magic, but that's what comes with the job, man. It's not all day.
You gotta know what you're signing up for.
Under the bridge now.
I guess.
Yeah.
You think Rob Pelinka can move the Lakers forward anymore, or they need to go get somebody else?
They're going to have him try. I don't know if he will.
Well, LeBron is, for all intents and purposes, now the acting GM, which is what he wanted all the whole time.
All right, guys, speak one last fact to me. Saquon Barkley, last season was not Eli Manning's fault.
Whose was it? Seriously. Like, what?
I can see the grimace on your face right now.
Pat Shermer, I guess, for keeping Eli Manning there.
Maybe it's not Eli's fault. I guess you could argue that the offensive line wasn't great, but then Saquon had a phenomenal year, which usually indicates a decent offensive line play. Look, I get that he's trying to defend his quarterback. It's very nice. He's a very humble kid. I like him. Penn State back. Good guy. He's also lying when he says it's not Eli Manning's fault.
Straight up through his teeth. So this quote came from an interview with Taylor Rooks. Taylor Rooks from Bleacher Report has this new series out called Take It There. And she goes to different athletes and asks insightful and personal questions. And they got to talking about Eli. And you're right, he defended his quarterback. But no, he's not speaking facts. It was, I don't want to say 100% Eli's fault, but you make up the point about the offensive line. Aaron Rodgers' offensive line is terrible. Tom Brady's offensive line is terrible, and Tom Brady won a Super Bowl. So, you can overcome a bad offensive line.
They're not as bad as that.
They're not as bad as the Giants' offensive line, but I won't say it was Eli, the player's fault. I would say it was the whole Giants organization's fault for having Eli Manning.
We're going to find out this year. We're going to find out this year because supposedly they made all these trades. They're redesigning their team, and Eli's either going to do it or Eli's not.
What do you need to see? They can redesign everything. They can redesign the stadium. Eli's still Eli.
Well, continuity usually is best in the NFL, and if you can turn Eli around into just like what Big Ben has been the past 2 years, where he's not maybe the flashiest guy, but he's in a high-power offense with a lot of weapons. He's aging.
High power, they traded away their best offensive weapon.
No, Saquon is if I had to choose, I'd give money to Saquon, and then on top of that, they bring in Golden Tate. You have Sterling Shepard, Evan Engram. You have a lot of guys who I think can do damage on the offensive side of the ball. But again, it's gonna really come down to that quarterback position, and I think it will, in end, come out to be Eli's fault, so to speak.
Eli's best passer rating season of his career is lower than Phil Rivers' career passing rating.
And
that makes sense. I love Philip Rivers.
I do too. I'm a huge fan of Phil Rivers.
I don't even like
Philip Rivers. Is overrated.
Whatever. We're moving on from that because I almost strangled Jake just now for saying that. Philip Rivers is probably going to go down as one of the most underappreciated football players ever.
Damian Lillard of the NFL.
The Damian Lillard of the NFL.
From StatMat.
From StatMat dropping
Here's
a gem.
what I'm going to tell you. He is not in the Hall of Fame of the NFL.
Philip Rivers is 100% a Hall of Famer. Jewel, please move on because I can't. He's making me mad.
All right, guys, we're heading to the countdown. Number 5.
Number 5 stands for the number of Masters Tiger Woods has won. Now, Tiger Woods, and if you never heard of this, you live under a rock, Tiger Woods just won the Masters. He's 3 major championships away from passing Jack Nicklaus. He could do 2 of them this year, so I think that Tiger Woods will end up as the greatest statistical golfer of all time.
Yep.
All right, 4.
The number of games it took to eliminate the Tampa Bay Lightning, the team that set the NHL record for wins in a season. This is cringy because you come out and you face a team from Columbus, which they did, got totally blown out. I'd say Tampa Bay needs to get moved out of Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay Lightning need to get moved out of Tampa Bay after that performance.
Yeah, it's a very Tampa Bay-like team, right? But having a huge lead and blowing it, that's it.
No.
It's gonna go down as one of the worst, if not the worst, playoff collapse in NHL history.
3.
Number 3 is for the number of straight starts Aaron Nola has allowed 5 runs or more. All my Philly fans out there, I know we're hype on this team, but that's very worrisome. That's our ace right there, going out 3 straight times, letting up 5 runs. This team doesn't go without Aaron Nola. If Aaron Nola doesn't clean up and get better, we're looking for a lackluster season by the Phillies.
Scary coming out the gates like that.
Yeah, can't do it.
2.
The amount of times there has been co-rookie of the years in the NBA, I believe it will be 3 at the end of this season. Trae Young and Luka Doncic, I think they've earned it.
I think I got to go with Trae Young just off the bat. I think he's doing much better than Luka Doncic. Is a bigger part of his team.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up with number 1.
Number 1 is the number of teams Tyronn Lue has coached for in the NBA. That's just the Cleveland Cavaliers. He has a championship with them, and it's about the only thing that bothers me about LeBron is that he will seek out these kind of coaches just so he can manipulate them, because apparently he's on the short list to land the Lakers job now.
I wouldn't say he manipulated him. Didn't Tyronn Lue tell him to shut the F up? I've got this?
I guess so, but you can't tell me that LeBron didn't do it his way when he was in Cleveland.
He did. He always does.
You know what I mean? And that's all we got to now. So we have anything to say at the buzzer? No? Julie, you're good. Jake, anything to say at the buzzer?
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at straight STR8 facts FAX. It's a little awky, but that's okay.
Yeah, we're working on that Twitter handle. All I have to say at the buzzer is this was a great first show. We moved through it beautifully. I love all my team here, and you guys keep it locked here because Straight Facts is going to be coming at you with some heat in the very, very near future. But that's all we have for today's episode of Straight Facts. Big ups to Greg Barron, Kyle Sobieski, and Stat Matt Robinson behind the camera. For my partner, Jewel Schmitz.
It's been real, it's been fun, it's been real fun.
To my partner, Jake Galley, I'm James Jackson, and these have been the facts.
Straight up.